I found an article in the Real News, but as it turns out, it wasn't in the Real News. First, it came out. I love all these scrapers and all these aggregator sites like we are. Thank goodness for them, because with them, we'll find a website and an article like this. This was from the view of a resident. This was written by a resident of East Palestine. And we've got a couple things that we're going to talk about with East Palestine this week. We did talk, of course, last week with United for East Palestine, Jenna and Alex, and they've made the rounds, thankfully, around independent media this week. We've run them ragged, and I want to run them and their team ragged all week, every week for months, because this is not going away. It's getting worse, and what we're finding out is getting worse. So, from the locals' perspective, this amazing woman, Katie F., published an article in Class Unity. Can you Class Unity? Unity is.
I got
yes.
One of those somewhere.
Did you say? Did I say the word Unity? Yes. Class Unity is a small publication that was picked up by the Real News Network, which was then picked up by. Unity. Thank you. Which was then picked up by.
Unity doesn't represent what you're against. It represents what you are
for. Thank you, Kwame Ture. So
I got a couple of Unities.
I love it. So Class Unity is a small publication that the Real News picked up, Popular Resistance picked up, the Real News Network, and then Independent Left News or Indie Left News picked up all of this. So I traced it back to the original author. So it starts out, Katie writes that Timothea is a long resident of East Palestine and a victim of the Norfolk Southern train derailment. We know that the train transporting toxic chemicals was 150 cars long, 20 to 25% longer than the average length of trains in 2017. It was operated by just 3 conductors with only 4 paid sick days each, just half of the national average. Of course, the release of 100,000 gallons of chemicals into a town only 3 square miles in size might have been avoided had our so-called socialist leaders fought for the rights of the railroad workers to secure a more favorable contract that was already years overdue. Now Timothea and her community are stuck with the consequences as they navigate serious health and safety concerns under a government that provides little to no support for the poor and working class. Norfolk Southern.
I'm sorry for whoever's parent named that child.
Timothea?
You know?
Well.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to hear directly from her. Yeah. She wrote specifically, and it's heartbreaking. But Norfolk Southern's greed, combined with the apathy of the state and federal governments, has exacerbated the existing failures of a system whose stated purpose is to ensure safe and healthy lives for the people of East Palestine. As PR efforts work to paint a picture of hope with bogus presidential visits and performative water drinking, Timothea's accounts of her lived experiences paint a radically different picture, and I don't think that really surprises very many of us. For example, the Ohio government's Department of Health recently received emergency funding from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for pop-up health clinics, and Jenna talked about this, claiming to offer medical examinations. Timothea, who has struggled with chronic headaches since the incident, stated that the clinics provide no real diagnoses or meaningful care. They just document that you've been there. Great. Meanwhile, the residents of East Palestine...
At the halls of justice?
Yes. Well, at the halls of injustice in this case.
Injustice? Yeah.
But, the residents of East Palestine who are without jobs and or in need of food assistance must turn to Ohio's SNAP program, which mandates employment and training sessions to obtain more than 3 months of food stamps. This policy is applied to children as soon as they turn 16. Although the government claims that workers with physical and or mental disabilities may be exempt from work requirements, Timothea reported that letters of verification are hard to come by. It's exploitative bullshit, she said. A lot of these nurse practitioners think that if you're not superbly disabled, they won't give you one of these letters. Right? So now, along with the stress of being poor, you also have the stress about toxic chemicals. And since we're poor, these corporations, these people who are in charge, they don't care.
Yep.
So despite the criminal activity, Norfolk Southern, whose revenue is a record-breaking $3.2 billion in Q4 of 2022 alone. That's disgraceful. The residents of East Palestine are rising up, taking every opportunity to confront those in power and hold them accountable. You know, she's super proud of her little town because they've never shut up, and nor should they. Anytime you go to a meeting with the EPA, the city government, shit gets wild. And I think Erin Brockovich learned that. Below is a statement from Timothea detailing her experience in East Palestine from February 3rd until today, and this was written just this week. My name is Timothea D. Quote, I'm here tonight to tell you that I'm broke, I've been broken, and that the entire system is broken. Back in October, I was struggling with my mental health and lost my job. I was in bad financial straits. I didn't work for 4 months. I had to apply to Job and Family Services for benefits. I applied for Medicaid and food stamps. The process of getting food stamps is demoralizing. They make you jump through hoops just to live.
Yep.
In Ohio, if you need food and you don't have a job and you apply through Job and Family Services for help, you have to perform a work assignment. This is where you go to a job where they don't pay you. I lost my job because I was struggling with my mental health and couldn't go to work, and now they want me to go back to work? I'm still struggling with my mental health, and they're not even going to pay me. A number of weeks after applying, I finally got my food stamps, and I have to go with my family to Walmart to use them, which means that I have to spend all day with my family and my dad, who's talking about how much he hates gay people for an hour because he knows that'll upset me. It's ridiculous. Yeah. What?
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, like just... What else? Throw it on the pile, right? Like, it's ridiculous because my life is super stressful. It's more stressful than it was when I was working. It took 2 hours at Walmart to get the groceries. I came home, put the groceries away, and laid down for a minute because I'm so fatigued. Then I hear sirens, and I'm like, what's going on? And my sister's like, there's a train fire. And I'm like, what's a train fire? The train derailment shows...
Well, it's special kind of fire.
Well, on top of a controlled burn, and they're going to learn all about that soon enough. But the train derailment shows, okay, how the system is broken in a different way. On one hand, I'm trying to navigate this goofy food stamp system, trying to get a job. I'm going through a really difficult period of my life, and then my hometown gets blown up by a train derailment. Jeez. All right. All three of us are on Facebook trying to figure out what's going on because exactly where the train derailed, there's a gas station. We're thinking, this gas station is going to blow up, and it's going to blow up the whole town. My mom and my sister had to round up all the cats, but we had only one cat carrier. Now 4 of the cats can get along fine, but one of the cats doesn't get along with the others. So we can't put her in there with the others. All right. My mom got a laundry hamper to put Willow in, to try to put Willow in, but she just started tearing on my mom with her claws.
Put it in the bag.
And wouldn't go in the hamper. Well, no, what you
put
do
the
is
cat
you get
back in the bag.
Just get a cardboard box. They'll jump in there on their own.
I have a story about that.
All right.
I literally had to take my cat to the vet in a bag. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so she says, we grab the cats except for Willow. We go to my brother Mark's house. My brother set up air mattresses on the floor for me and my mom. My sister, my brother-in-law slept on the floor. My dad slept on the couch. The next day, we find out that the town has not blown up. That's nice. They came out with a press release that it's this disaster and there's chemicals, but they're keeping the fire contained. We went back with the cat carrier and got Willow and some supplies. The house didn't really smell, but you can smell it outside. We're 1.5 miles away. Right? As Colin says, cats are dicks. Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Take it back.
Gary Bear. My mom couldn't handle sleeping on the floor again, so we spent the night in the house. The next night, my mom was like, I don't want to go back to Mark's, but I was like, Mom, that gas station is right there. On one hand, we were getting told to shelter in place. On the other hand, the situation's getting worse. The fire chief said, quote, if you don't need to be in East Palestine now, don't. That should have been all it took for me. So the next day, they said they were going to do the controlled burn. We're watching everything that's happening on the news. My brother's kids are everywhere. It's cramped. Mark's dog is trampling all of the air mattresses, which is setting off my OCD. And I'm having even worse mental health issues.
Setting off my shit.
Right?
Yeah, like
The whole
The
time
kids
this is
are
happening,
screaming.
right? The whole time this is happening, I'm still going through this food stamps business. And while I'm at Mark's house, I have to call the lady about my interview to do my work assignment. And there are screaming kids, and life is still going on. And I have no money. I have no idea when I'm going to get any money. Are they going to make me do this work program while I'm displaced? Or am I going to get cut off from my food stamps? Like, meanwhile, we watched a live stream of the mushroom cloud. The train derailment shows how... Yeah. Train derailment shows how the system is broken in a different way. On one hand, I'm trying to navigate this goofy food stamp system. I'm trying to get a job. I'm going through a really difficult period in my life, and then my hometown gets blown up by a train derailment, like we said before, struggling in poverty with few safety nets and struggling to survive as it is. Then some lying, greedy, negligent corporation decides to blow up a train 1.5 miles from my house. Yeah, thanks. If Norfolk Southern offers me $1,000, I'm going to take it. I don't have any other choice. That's the position in people in East Palestine are being put into right now, because there are so many people who are going through the same stuff I'm going through, or they're living paycheck to paycheck. I'm lucky enough to be in my home. Some of these people are still out of their home, and I still get headaches every day. Class Unity, the magazine that published this, extends their deepest thanks to Timothea for taking the time to share her story, for allowing us to platform her experience. We stand in firm solidarity with the poor and working class people of East Palestine in their fight for health, security, and livelihood, as do we at INN, Indie Left News. How do we miss that? And I think, definitely at the Indie Media Awards as well. Did I double it, or you double me up? All right.
we probably doubled it.
All right. So, so United for East Palestine, at United for EP on Twitter. You can follow their Facebook group, which has 8,200 members, including locals that post stuff all the time. You can learn a lot of good stuff about what's happening locally there. Did want to give big shout out to Class Unity for that one. That was a great article. I also wanted to talk about this lady, and I don't know how many people have seen her. She has been doing some outstanding, out-frickin' standing videos about what's been happening in East Palestine for about 8 weeks now. And once again, I'm going to flip to the 2 box so that I can escape out. And let's go to her latest video, which she literally published today. So now we're going to turn off the slideshow. We'll go back to Indie Main. And what are you doing, Monitor 1? Stop that. Okay.
You know the thing.
No, I don't know the thing. All right, you're leaning a little too far to the left there. You're falling out of the shot for the vertical. All right, I queued this up. Her name is Squirrel Tribe. She has about 120,000 followers. She's only on YouTube and Instagram, and she's been reporting and just reading articles and reading reports from Norfolk Southern and from toxicologists about what their findings are about East Palestine and the surrounding areas. And this is not just about East Palestine. This is about Pennsylvania. This is about what happened yesterday in Pennsylvania. Here we go.
Going to say, the Delaware River is drinking water source for millions of residents of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. The bottled water advisory applies only to residents of Philadelphia who lived east of the Schuylkill River, neighborhoods west of the Schuylkill. Why do these names? Schuyllkill. Schuylkill.
Native, probably.
Along with parts of northwest Philadelphia, draw their drinking water supply from the Schuylkill, not the Delaware. Officials said Saturday that the Baxter Water Treatment Plant in northeast Philadelphia had been closed following the spill, but water intakes reopened at high tide early Sunday to maintain minimum levels of water in the system. Officials said that it was needed to avoid any damage to equipment and to supply water for essential needs, such as fire safety. Coast Guard officials have advised the public to stay away from the contamination site as cleanup efforts are underway. The Water Department has released a map showing the potentially impacted areas. I don't see the map anywhere. There's not a link to it. Hold on. Maybe this is it. But either way, The run on bottled water, I'm sure, is ridiculous right now. And I just want to say that is very interesting, given, again, what we're going to talk about in a second. So here is the map, according to them. If you happen to be in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, whatever area, you can see there what's affected and what's considered not affected. But just be careful anyway, no matter what, I would say err on the side of caution and try not to drink any water straight from the tap. Boil the water first if you can. If you have already bottled waters, filtered water, drink those instead. Or just say screw it all and go have a margarita, because then you don't have to worry about it. There's no water in the margarita. Unless you need ice. Don't use the ice. Now, I have 5 bajillion things to read to you here, but I want to start off really...
Hemingway, Mark.
Guess not start off. Move over into...
That's just rum and lime.
Thing that I found earlier. Oh, side note, Pennsylvania School District in Beaver County, Pennsylvania is suing Norfolk Southern now because of the smoke and chemical cloud that affected the school system over there, because they had to shut everything down. Also, when Norfolk Southern, the February 3rd train derailment, and then the subsequent intentional release of chemicals into the ground and intentional uncontrolled burn of said chemicals into the air and into the surrounding areas. So you got school districts now adding into the people that are suing Norfolk Southern. But this here, I wanted to read to you just really quick because it's very interesting to me. Norfolk Southern wiped out most of the video leading up to the East Palestine derailment. You guys may have already heard this, but it's just convenient the way this works. Okay, let me read to you what happened, and then you can tell me that this is the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life. So Norfolk Southern wiped out most of a video in the train cab that could have provided crucial information about the East Palestine derailment, the head of the agency investigating the crash says. Well, while the camera in the locomotive has 12 hours of recording time, all of that, except for 15 minutes before the derailment and 5 minutes after, was overwritten after the accident because they put the locomotive immediately back into service.
Why?
This is according to Jennifer Homendy, which is chair of the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, told ABC6. So here's the thing. Think of it this way. You have this recording of this entire 12 hours worth of this train doing its thing back and forth, however, 12 hours worth of stuff. We know that the train caught fire, 21 miles before the derailment, or 21 minutes. I love you all, and I'm sorry, I get those two confused every time. I don't know if it's 21 miles or 21 minutes before the actual derailment, but either way, it's not in this video because this video only goes back 15 minutes, and train, in theory, was going 49 miles per hour, therefore not enough,
How did they wipe? Why do they have the cameras to begin with if they wipe it every time? Every time you send it.
They have these hard drives that automatically overwrite each other. That if in case of a derailment, now they somehow got this locomotive back on the tracks and into service, which means that it continued to operate, and therefore it would overwrite, and it would only have the last trip. I'm guessing that's the way that all these things would be. Why? Yeah. Oops, we lost the recording is exactly right. Oops, I did it again.
So
what?
Okay, that makes
no sense.
What kind of system of recording do you have of only 12 hour? Like if you have an accident on the train previous, I don't know, they ran over someone and didn't check, or
get 21 miles before, if it was miles instead of minutes or whatever else.
She's got a fantastic camera, I can tell you right now. Really good, clear stuff. She does excellent videos. Follow her at youtube.com/@SquirrelTribe. She sells merch. She actually, I think she slings gold on top of it. You can get gold and silver with a promo code. You can give her some. You can hook her up with some crypto. Get a Ledger Nano X in a cold storage wallet. Etsy stuff. You can buy her stuff there, and she's got a merch store. Hook her up. She's been great reporting on this stuff, and she's looking out for the people. And these citizen reporters are the only way that we're getting this information out to each other. We're reading through these reports, and we're sharing what we're finding out, and then we're using these outlets like INN and RBN to get this message out to the masses. And Savvy Sav, shout out to Savvy and Hardlands Media, the Jimmy Dore Show, and Misty Winston, and everybody that's had all these United for East Palestine people on. Let me go back and take Squirrel Tribe Lady off. She would probably not want to look like that. But I did want to give her a big shout out to what was happening in East Palestine.